Ah, the Whiterun Marketplace. Nothing like strolling through town on a sunny day and seeing everyone out and about attending to their business. You probably never buy anything, but I think everyone who's played Skyrim knows the faces you'll see here. It's a familiar place, a comfortable one, somewhere where things don't change. Probably because there's no Khajiit stealing from anyone. But lurking under this bright and cheery facade is something that is bound to rear its ugly head in any good fantasy world. That's right, boys and girls, racism. Oh, dang, does it feel good to be back in Skyrim. And we're talking about one of my favorite things, video games. Now, some of you may have seen my How Racist is Cyrodiil video before this one, so you probably have an idea of how this is gonna go. If you haven't seen that, go check it out after this, link is in the description. I don't think that anyone would doubt that racism is present in Skyrim. It's basically anywhere and everywhere. God forbid a Khajiit take a stroll around an abandoned watchtower around here without a gaggle of bandits threatening to turn them into a rug. But as a series, The Elder Scrolls tends to make things a little more deep than surface level, ugh, me hate orc cause smelly. Although that is a completely justified reason to hate orc. So, much like last time, we're gonna ask, how racist is Skyrim? Also, just like last time, we're gonna lay down some guidelines. If it's not in the game itself, it doesn't count. Any supplemental material like books, guides, or word of God from the developers isn't what we're looking at today. All we are interested in is how and in what ways racism presents itself in Skyrim. We're also going to define racism the same way, that being prejudice based on someone's race, not whatever 30-page definition you found on Google search. Okay? For starters, what better place to look at than the capital of the East March Hold, Windhelm? Where do I even start? Well, if I had to pick somewhere, it'd be right past the city gate the first time you enter the city.
Imperial spies? You can't be serious.
Maybe we'll pay you a visit tonight, little spy. We got ways of finding out what you really are.
Do you hate the Dark Elves? Are you here to bully us and tell us to leave?
Oh boy. You take 2 steps into the damn place, and the first thing you see is people ganging up on the Dark Elves. The more you ask around, the more you find out about how the racial tensions are worse than ever between the Nordic and Dunmeric populations in the city. For some context, after the eruption of the Red Mountain, many Dark Elves from Morrowind migrated to Skyrim as refugees. A good portion of them settled in Windhelm, and the Nords really very much did not like that, but not for the reasons you might think. The refugees that migrated to Skyrim were often poor and didn't have much money to get by on. Because of this, the population in Windhelm has been sequestered into the Grey Quarter, the most rundown of the city slums. Because of this, the Nords view them as beggars and leeches and hate them because of that. Not because of their weird purple skin and pointy ears, but also kind of that too. Oh yeah, did I mention the Red Mountain erupted 200 years before the start of the game? So not only do the Nords here think of them this way, they have thought negatively about Dunmer for generations. It's the kind of hate that has to be taught. Talk to some of the people in the Grey Quarter, and it sounds like their poverty and rundown living quarters is completely by design. And they believe that Ulfric himself is responsible. Shit though, the Dunmer don't have it that bad. Not as bad as the Argonians anyway. They're not even allowed in the city limits. They have to work at the fucking docks. Service does not guarantee citizenship, my scaly friend. But we couldn't talk about Windhelm and racism without talking about the Stormcloaks. Okay, now, the Stormcloaks definitely have a cultural claim to Skyrim and want the Empire as a whole to just fuck off. But they will allow recruits from other races to join them. Just ask anyone who's played a race other than a Nord. Hell, they even let in elves. On the whole, the Stormcloaks are a revolutionary independent movement that want freedom from the Empire and the Thalmor and want the right to practice their cultural beliefs. Which, you know what? I think they have every right to fight for. If they feel that their culture and country are being destroyed to the point where they feel threatened enough to fight back, more power to them. And I'm gonna stop you from quoting Reddit threads at me right now. I don't care if Redditors think something is racist. They're usually wrong. That's why they're on Reddit. That said, it'd be ignorant to say that they're not racist as fuck. Both running through mindsets of the members and the policies from the top. As stated earlier, the Dark Elves in the Grey Quarter claim with certainty that Ulfric is the reason they're kept in poverty. But he seems to kinda just think of them as an annoyance. And Ulfric here isn't the type to just let let people he hates or disagrees with go unpunished. If he really hated the Dark Elves as much as they claim he does, I don't think they'd be tolerated to stay there. They'd either be gone or they'd be dead. That's not to say it doesn't suck to be a Dark Elf in Windhelm, because it absolutely does. But it almost seems like the real hatred in Windhelm comes more from the people than actual enacted policies. Except on the Argonians, that's pretty bad. There are definitely people amongst the ranks that truly and wholeheartedly believe that Skyrim belongs to the Nords, and they mean that completely, no trace of any other race. But at the same time, how many people join up with the Stormcloaks because fuck the Thalmor? That's why I'd join. It just so happens that part of the Nordic way of life is distrust and usual dislike of outsiders. But hey, it's the same with the Dunmer. Now, last time I used a racism meter to measure how racist Cyrodiil was, but right off the bat I can tell we'd break it, and I don't need that happening again. This time, we're just gonna judge how racist everything is at the end. So now that the giant box that is Windhelm has been unpacked, we can take a look at a few of the other hold capitals scattered around Skyrim. First up, let's take a look at the capital of Hjalmarch, Morthal. I have heard it referred to as the asshole of Skyrim by very smart people. So let's take a look and see if the people here are better to each other than the very fucking environment is to any poor sap stupid enough to make his way through this swampy hellhole. Well, none of these saps appear to be non-human, or hell, not a Nord. Just about everyone I saw here on first glance looked like they could be a Nord, and there were certainly no Khajiit, Argonian, or elves. I guess they're smart enough to know not to live in this swampy shithole. The only person here who is not outwardly incredibly pale-skinned is the Imperial Legion emissary that is currently stationed here. It is hard to be racist when your town is comprised of one race, unless... Wait a minute! Next up, a look at Riften. Riften might be one of the most multiracial cities in the whole game, and everyone seems to get on well enough. In fact, Dark Elves and Argonians have stalls set up in the marketplace and seem to be well liked and respected members of society. While you can ask random Dunmer about the Thieves Guild, awful presumptive there, ain't we? The first person that approaches you about doing work for the guild is a hulking Nord fella that watches you intently until you finally decide to commit the sin of theft. It's kind of funny to me that one of the most ramshackle cities in this game, the one with the largest criminal presence, is one of the ones that's most accepting of all races. I guess when your priorities lie in criminal activity, you'll take anyone that can help you so long as they're skilled. Doesn't matter how pointy their ears are, or scaly their skin is. Finally, let's take a look at the brightest and bestest Whiterun. While Whiterun may have a large population of different races, they are mostly humans. There are a few elves of various races strewn about, but I didn't see a single Argonian or Khajiit here. The climate here seems to be temperate enough to house any of the races that might come to this region, but they are strangely absent. Does this imply that Jarl Balgruuf is systemically eliminating the local populations of beast races, and the multiracial makeup of Whiterun is just a front for the most intense genocidal program established in Tamriel since all those other times that a race got exterminated? Probably not. But it is interesting to consider why there might not be any beast races here. Most races that aren't human seem to be way less common in the hold cities than they were in any of the cities in Oblivion. Just goes to show how different Cyrodiil and Skyrim are, and I think the reasoning for this really just kind of is the population makeup of the region. While Cyrodiil borders Elsewhere and Blackmarsh, Skyrim borders neither of them. If a resident of one of those nations would want to go to Skyrim for whatever reason, they'd have to travel through Cyrodiil or Morrowind to make it there, and that's not a short trip, and there are further away provinces too. Skyrim is pretty far away from a lot of the other places in Tamriel. Ooh, buddy, it would not be a video discussing racism in Tamriel without bringing up the orcs. So if you don't know the history of Elder Scrolls orcs, the short of it is that a long time ago, the Daedric prince Boethia ate and shit out the god Trinimac, leading to a whole new being known as Malakath. His followers became the orcs, with an association of savagery and the view that they have literal poop in their DNA. Not many races, if if any, across Tamriel care much for the orcs. Because of this, they're ostracized wherever they go, and Skyrim seems to be one of the worst places an orc could live. This might be 200 years after Oblivion, but at least in Cyrodiil, orcs were generally accepted in cities, and most people kind of tended to put up with them at the very least. They were kind of just treated as people. Skyrim, on the other hand, has segregated the orcish population of the province to 4 strongholds scattered around the land, and they really don't like outsiders coming into their territory. Approach one and you'll be remanded for even approaching, and you're told that the orcs there just want to be left alone. And it kind of sounds like they have to live in one of these. You can, of course, tell them to get fucked. They are quite literally taking the greenskins and throwing them in internment camps. At least they're left alone for the most part to do as they please. In turn, the orcs in these places very much are racist right back at any other race that would tread through their territory. They do welcome outsiders that have proven themselves as friends to the poop elves, but even then, it takes a lot to be considered for that honor. This also explains why most of the orcs you see in this game are bandits and other various enemies. Is that because of their ferocious nature, hence why they were locked up in the first place? Or is this behavior caused directly because they have no other option if they want to live anywhere other than the reservation? We just might never know. It's the second one. Alright, it's finally time to talk about the elephant in the room. You there, get the fuck out of here. Get out, now! Now that that's out of the way, we can finally talk about how racist all the Nords are. The superiority complex Nords show over the other races borders on the same level as the Thalmor. And you know what, buddy? It ain't cute. A Nord doesn't even have to be a member of the Stormcloak to view every other race, human and otherwise, as a literal walking threat to their existence. And there is no better place to see this illustrated than by talking to one of the guards as any race other than a human. They talk to you like you're shit beneath their boots. Doesn't matter how many dragons you've slain or people you've helped or times you've saved the world. Walk into any city as a non-human, and they're going to hate you on principle. While there were definite examples of racism in Oblivion, most people treated you, you know, like a person. But when even the guards of the place you live think you are a piece of shit because you have pointy ears or fuzzy skin, it's hard to do basically anything to make a name for yourself beyond the racial prejudices of its populace. One might say that with standards this high, it's quite literally impossible. I brought this up last time, and I'm gonna bring it up this time. You, as the player, are just an outright racist, even if you outright state you're not. And that goes beyond just the baseline, you choose your player race based on racial traits. Don't believe me? Fine. Let's take a look at a few examples, shall we? Khajiit get it hard everywhere they go that's not in elsewhere. They're viewed as thugs, thieves, and just all around untrustworthy. Not completely unjustified, but as with any type of people, stereotypes certainly exist. But the vast majority of the population are just trying to get by, day by day, as normal functioning members of society. Then tell me, why is it that I can walk up to the first random Khajiit I see, and the only thing I can talk to him about is lockpicking? I didn't know he was a trainer before this, but all it takes is one assumption, and the dude is ready to teach you everything he knows about the basics and fundamentals of picking a lock. As far as I know, this is just some random Khajiit. And then here comes this random Nord, slack-jawed and drooling a little, asking him if he knows anything about breaking into places. But he knew a lot, so I guess it's fine. Let us not forget that interaction from earlier, where we were asked if we hate dark elves. Even with the casual, almost accidental racism you've already experienced as the player, now Bethesda is giving you the opportunity to roleplay as a racist with no repercussions. So not only are you the victim of and witness to various forms of racism during the course of playing the game, you yourself, as your player character, can be a racist. When they said you could do anything in Skyrim, I don't think this is what they meant, but I am absolutely here for it. So, there you have it. If for some reason you had any doubt in your mind that Skyrim wasn't racist, I think we can consider that belief quashed. But if you were cognizant of it, hopefully now you have a better understanding of how that looks in the world of the game itself. To answer our question, how racist is Skyrim? I think we can confidently say, very. Much more than Cyrodiil, actually. I know that in the video discussing Cyrodiil's racism, there were actual mechanics at play, what with the disposition and pricing differences and whatnot, but on the whole, Nords are just really fucking territorial, man. They don't like other people that aren't Nords. Even then, they don't like other Nords that disagree with them. them. It's kinda just the way they are, and because of that, it leads to a lot of racism. And they're not fine to just label them as different and consider them bad because of that. Nords have a reason that they hate every other race. And obviously not all Nords are going to hate other races or be racist themselves. It's just that the general culture surrounding Nordic tradition that many people still adhere to are just kind of isolationist and distrusting of others in general. And while the racism in Oblivion was presented mechanically and examples of it were shown that were kind of surface level examples, the racism in Skyrim is a bit more systemic. It's hard to be another race in Skyrim in the 5th era. Maybe there was a time before that it wasn't this bad, but that time ain't now. So that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this further look into racism in Tamriel and how it affects its people and the gameplay of Skyrim. This was a fun look into an almost completely different setting in Tamriel to see how racism affects people in different locations and time periods. Makes the world feel as old as it's presented as, I think. Obviously, there are other things to look at, but that's not what we're focused on here today. Remember to like the video if you liked it, and if you made it this far, I think that means you liked it at least a little. Let me know in the comments any examples I may have missed of your favorite examples of racism in Skyrim. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. I've got plenty more on the way to explode all over your eyeballs. My goal is 500 subs by the end of the year, and you all are helping me completely knock it out of the park. All that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Are you looking at my testicles, Nerevar?